First question I would like to ask you, very basic. Where did you grow up and when did you start making music?
Um, I started rapping when I was like, I think about 12 years old. I started rapping in my basement in my home. And at the time, this was like 1979, 1980. My partner, Run, he used to tour with a rapper I'm sure you know of. His name was Curtis Blow. And Curtis Blow was one of the first rappers to make records. My partner Run was called the son of Curtis Blow. And he used to go on the road and come back home with tapes of the shows. You know what I'm saying? I used to hear these tapes, and I used to go in my basement and try to do what I heard on the tape. So I actually started rapping when I was 12, and my partner Joe, he knew that I was into the rap thing. And his brother was Russell Simmons, who threw a lot of the early parties for rappers. So Russell said, Joey, I'm going to let you make a record one day, but first you got to get out of high school. So when Joe got out of high school, his brother said, now you can make the record. So Joe came up with the idea of the group Run DMC and the record, and he remembered, oh, wow, I want a partner. So he came and got me, and that was in 1982 when we first made our recording as rap artists. Well, Run DMC, we all grew up in a place called Hollis, Queens, New York. That's the area that's not too far from here. And basically, it's like your middle class suburban area. And, it was a nice neighborhood. It had a share of violence and crime and all of that. But basically, in all, it was a hard-working community. And, the way we was brought up in that neighborhood, that was reflected in a lot of the records that we made. We all lived like 6 blocks from each other. And Hollis Avenue was like the main stretch of avenue, so that's where everybody would converge on the avenue and things would go on there. So a lot of things that happened on Hollis, we would reflect in our records.
Can you maybe explain? You just said that you were, as kids, hanging out on this avenue and was end of the 70s. What was the feeling like on the street, atmosphere?
Well, the atmosphere growing up in Hollis around, 79, 80, 81, 82, it was basically party. It was like a party atmosphere. It was, let's put it like this, it was sports. Everybody was into basketball and football and stuff like that. But also, it was a party area because at that time, disco was popular, but the homeboys in the hood couldn't get into the big clubs, you know what I'm saying? And also, we wasn't with, John Travolta and Saturday Night Fever and all of that stuff. We wasn't with that, so we had to make our own disco, and that's where rap evolved from. And it was a good time. It was a very good time. It wasn't as hectic as it is now, you know what I'm saying? Because, you had drugs, but you didn't have crack, and you didn't have the problems. And, it was fun. It was a fun era.
Could you describe maybe disco was influential? You just very influential at that time, but that you had to make up your own style also because you weren't allowed to go into the clubs.
Yeah.
Could you describe maybe what you dressed like as kids hanging out on the street there?
Well, actually, dressed like I'm dressed now. You know what I'm saying? It's basically sneakers and jeans and, sweatshirts and stuff like that. But also at that time, we would wear our sneakers, but also we would wear suit jackets. We would wear, suits. You know what I'm saying? We'd wear the blazer and the slacks. And we probably wear a silk shirt or whatever have you, you know what I'm saying? So it might seem kind of funny, but, to see somebody with a suit all decked out, and then when you look down on their feet, we got Adidas on. And but actually, the way we dress now is the way that we dressed all the time. And that's what was the fashion that evolved into rap. Come as you are,
So the sports style, I think it didn't come from out of nowhere. Who did you look at when you started dressing in this sporty way with Adidas?
I guess the younger kids, people that was like 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 looked at the people that was 17 and 18. And we got the dress from them, like your older brother. But at that time, you couldn't hang with him, so you didn't know where his mindset was coming from. So basically in the hood, it's like you see something, you like it, you start doing it, then the next person see it, they start doing it, and then the next person, suddenly the whole neighborhood dressed alike. Everybody's wearing the same stuff.
Yeah, but maybe wearing sportswear, dressing up in sportswear, does it have maybe something to do with that it's comfortable, you can move around, you can dance? And
Oh yeah, definitely. It felt good and it looked good. It felt good and it looked good. And if you didn't have the money to buy the clothes that they was wearing, you could go in your father's closet. Go in your father's closet, take his suit jacket, take his shirt, take his big hat, you know what I'm saying, and wear it like that.
Could you maybe say something about what I just assumed, that you dress in sportswear also that you can move around and dance? Could you just repeat that and describe what the kids were doing, maybe breaking or whatever they did at that time?
Well, at the time, it was like, we would wear what we wore, sportswear, and you go out to the parties and the clubs, but you had to wear what was comfortable so you could move around, so you could do the breaking, so you could do the rapping, you know what I'm saying? You couldn't really come in there with anything that was tight. You had to wear clothes that felt good and looked good.
Okay. Just a second, please.
No problem.
Could you say something about how the clothes were worn? Maybe say something about the baggy style and where it came from.
Oh wow. Well, back in the days, it wasn't as like nowadays in the 80s. I mean in the 90s, the clothes is more loose fitting and you wear big clothes, big baggy jeans. Back in the days, you would wear stuff that would fit you but wasn't tight, you know what I'm saying? So your movement couldn't be restrictive. It wasn't as outrageous as it is today because kids nowadays, they wearing oversized stuff. Back then, you wear stuff that fit comfortable but look good, you know what I'm saying? Shark skin suits and nylon and silk and stuff like that. Now people tend to wear more of cotton t-shirts and baggy jeans. But back then, it was like you were dressed with class, but you still could get ill.
Can you say something at that time about labels? Was it very important to wear the right labels?
No, back then it wasn't all about labels and names like it is today, like Tommy Hilfiger and Versace and stuff like that, and Calvin Klein. Whatever looked good, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, you could go in your father's closet and wear something. You could go in your grandfather's closet. It wasn't about labels. It was about what looked good, what made an impression. Whatever you wore that was not like the next man's, that would start the next trend. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody came out, they got the big brim hat, and they got the suits on, and they have the silk shirt on and all of that, and they got the Adidas. Then the next guy would say, let me take it to the next level. Let me go put on my grandfather's old trench coat. You know what I'm saying? Let me put on a hat with a bigger brim. You know what I'm saying? Then people would see him, and then that's how it would start. It wasn't about names, it was about look. You know what I'm saying? You could walk in a 5 and dime store. Instead of going up here on Fifth Avenue and spending $1,000, you can take $20 and go buy a wardrobe that looked like $1 million.
Okay, great. Can you say something then how it went on? Beginning of the 80s, rap became big. What happened to you personally also? How did everything start getting bigger?
Well, for us, it was like bam. Rap was out at the time, and you had Grandmaster Flash, you had Curtis Blow, you had Sugar Hill Gang. Those were the main guys making records. Africa Bambaataa, Zulu Nation, can't forget them. And we took our style from a group called the Cold Crush Brothers. They was more into domination and rhyme and commanding the stage and just ripping it to pieces. So we took that mentality to the records, and we made our first record. It's like that, and that's the way it is. And on the B side, there was a record called Sucker MCs, and that record was basically the rap vocalist and the beat, and plus the way that we looked. We didn't dress with stage clothes. We wore what was in the house, so the crowd could relate to that more so than me putting on a whole bunch of glitter stuff and singing. And they like, wow, this guy's really far from me. It was like I was, you could come and communicate with me. And we made this record, and it was so unique because the way we looked, like normal people from the neighborhood, plus the record was just a drum beat and then rapping. And we made that record, and that was a hit. And we made another record, and that was a hit. Then we made the first rap album. Nobody thought rap could sell. And we made the first rap album, and that album went gold. It sold 500,000 copies worldwide. Boom, bang. Wow, rap is big now. So that opened up everybody's attention to that. We also started the fad when we first came out. Actually, we wore black sweatshirts and black jeans. Now, and big gold chain. We had a big gold chain and a hat. You ready? You know, when we first came out, we had black sweatshirts on and black jeans, and we had these big fat gold chains, and we had the black hats. Every rapper after us started dressing like that. Every rapper after just started dressing like that. And that's what made us unique. That's what made everybody relate with us. That's what made it possible to sell 500,000 records. That's what got us on MTV. And a lot of the rock and roll people, the heavy metal people, liked us when they saw us. They was like, these guys are normal, dude. You know what I'm saying? Because we was just like them in a way. And it was like that overnight. And everything that we made just hit, just kept hitting, just kept hitting.
You just said that your style was very unique. Did you think, did you really develop this style personally? Was it something you thought up, or did it just come naturally to you?
It came natural. It came, our style, Run DMC style, came natural. It came out of something that we seen, but our own personalities went into it, so it wasn't like the next person's.
Can you describe that a little bit, define it a little more closely? You said it came out of yourself,
right.
So what was it?
I think, well, let me think. Our style was like this. We wanted to be, that's a good question. Run DMC style had to be what they say nowadays, the real deal. It wasn't like, all right, we're gonna make a record and we're gonna look this way and this is what we're looking to do. We did what we felt in the heart. You know what I'm saying? We did what the homeboy in the hood felt. That's why when they seen us, they seen themselves. You know what I'm saying? We did what you would want to do. You know what I'm saying? Not what some executive or some choreographer would tell us to do. Because when we came out, we didn't have dances. We didn't have no routine. We just came out and expressed what was in us. So our style was the realest of the real.
Great. Yeah. You just mentioned that you were wearing the really heavy gold chains.
Fat gold chains.
Fat gold
with this
chains.
thick like that.
Why? What was so cool about wearing?
Well, it was like in the 70s, if you had a gold chain, a little gold chain, it was a big thing. And when the 80s came around, if you had a big gold chain, it was a big thing. So if I might have my chain bigger than your chain, then I'm a winner. Just like I said, if my brim on my hat is this big and yours is that big, you're the winner.
What was the reaction from the kids and from the audience to that? Did they start wearing them also?
Yeah, even if they had to go and get imitation jewelry. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people's running around with, you could go, you know, to any shopping mall, to any shopping district and go to his jeweler and you could buy some fake gold. You know what I'm saying? And that was easy. They'll sell you $5 because the way the industry works, like nowadays you got Calvin Klein, you got Versace, DKNY, and you got all these name brand stuff. So the man who don't have access to, that fine material, he's gonna go take some cotton and make the look-alike, so they could go buy it too. You know what I'm saying? All right, I can't get the gold chain, but I could go down here and get a gold-plated imitation one for about $15. Or I can't wear Adidas, but I can go find a sneaker that looks like Adidas and put them on and represent that way.
You just gave me the word Adidas. I think how you wear your sneakers was something very exceptional and something really new. Can you describe how you wore them and how you came up with the idea?
Basically, I needed something to cover my feet, and so I went to the store and said, I need some sneakers. But Adidas was dope because they had what we call so many flavors. If I wore black one day, I could wear the Adidas with the black stripe. If I wore red one day, I could wear my Adidas with the red stripe. You know what I'm saying? That's what was so unique. And just for us being in the limelight, kids watching the videos and people seeing the videos, and it seemed like when a star wears something, the world got to go out and get it. And that's what made it popular. That's why we wrote a record about My Adidas. We wrote a record called Adidas, not just talking about what they are, but the places they've been, because we traveled the world. So if you listen to Adidas, we talk about stepped on stage at Live Aid, went around the world, walked through auditoriums and all of that. But basically, like I said, it looked good. You know what I'm saying? It just was different, you know, because at the time, 1970, everybody was wearing canvas, Converses, and Pro-Keds. So if you ain't got some leather Adidas with the stripe, then yo, you was in there.
So I also know that you wore your Adidas without laces at a certain time.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
That's because we was changing our clothes so much that we didn't have time to lace them up. You know what I'm saying? That's how that came about. It was like, all right, I got black on, but tonight I want to wear red, but I ain't got no time to stand here and lace them up. I got to throw on my red hat, my red shirt with red Adidas to get back to get where I'm going. So after doing that a couple of times, it just stayed. But it was easier for us to do it per se than somebody trying to play basketball, because if you go and play some basketball, then you got to lace your Adidas up.
And at what time did Adidas, the company, actually step into your life and start sponsor? Did they sponsor you?
Yeah, they gave us our own line of Run DMC sneakers. They sponsored our tour and everything. That's because in 1996 we played Madison Square Garden. And when we did the record My Adidas at Madison Square Garden, Run said, how many people got their Adidas on? And it was an Adidas representative there at Madison Square Garden. Now 30,000 people held their Adidas up. Turn the lights on. So this guy looked and seen everybody with holding their Adidas up. And then we did the record. And right after we did the show, he just came up, yo, we gonna do some business with y'all. So then that's how it started. Then they just started sending us suits and sneakers, anything we asked for. They would send to us. Because we wore it, we was like walking advertisement. And we didn't do it for the money. We didn't make the record for the money. We didn't make the record, we didn't wear them. I still got them on now. I always wore them, even before I was DMC. You know what I'm saying? Adidas was just dope. You know what I'm saying? It was in there.
So, did I understand it right? It was 1996 then?
1986.
1986.
We did an album called Raising Hell, which was the biggest album that we did. And we on that album was the record My Adidas. Everywhere we went, when we pull up in the town on a tour bus or land in the airport, all the fans was there with Adidas on. Everywhere. I know Puma and Nike probably was real mad because everybody was just buying Adidas, getting Adidas, you know.
I would also like to ask you about the East and the West Coast style. I believe that it differs a lot. Could you describe that, please?
Oh, the East Coast and West Coast style. Yeah, it does differ a lot. West Coast, well, there's a couple of styles on the West Coast because you got your typical, what they call, label as your gangbanger dress, but then on the West Coast also you got the player dress, the guy with money. You know, over here everybody's really into Nike and Adidas and they're into the brand name stuff. Over there they're like into the suits and the shoes and the hairstyles and jewelry and stuff like that. I think East Coast style is more everyday, homeboy. A lot of the East Coast style is geared towards sports. You gotta get your Michael Jordans. You gotta get your Reeboks that Sean Kemp wear. You gotta get the sneaker Charles Barkley wears. You gotta get hockey jerseys. You know what I'm saying? You gotta wear the basketball shirts. You know what I'm saying? On the West Coast, it's like if you're not in your traditional gangbanger outfit, you know, your t-shirt, your baggy khakis, and your sneakers, you're gonna put on some really fine Versace suits. You know what I'm saying? You might even wear a shirt and tie and stuff like that and have a cane with you. Over here, everything is geared towards sports. You know what I'm saying? I know the sneaker companies know that because every commercial you see is sneakers and sports, sneakers, sports, sneakers, sport. Over there you see more car commercials and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? So our style is like every day. School kid, basketball, athlete, athletic.